Hello, my name is Kavita Melwani, and I'm a Master Certified Success and Business Coach with 2 decades of experience as an entrepreneur and almost a decade as a coach. I want to personally welcome you to the Soulful Entrepreneurs Club podcast, where my vision is to empower as many spiritually led businesses to run purposeful and profitable businesses aligned with their true selves. I want you to confidently and opulently shine your light without the overwhelm, the stress, or the burnout. Together, we will explore challenges that soulful entrepreneurs face and real implementable solutions so you can step into your unique purpose and shine. It is possible to bridge the success you already have with the truest, soulful, mystical parts of yourself. Are you ready to rise up as the leader you were born to be? Then join me, my soulful friends. The time is now for you to rise up and shine your light. The world needs you. Are you going through a transition? If you are, you're not alone. I have been talking to friends, family, clients, and have been experiencing a lot of shifts and changes in my own life, business, and really asking myself how I want to move forward. And so, since I've been hearing this theme around, I wanted to share some tips and strategies so that you can continue to move forward and not stay stuck and paralyzed. Because that is the biggest thing that can happen when we are experiencing a pull, a need for a shift or change, right? So what everybody has their own way of how they approach a scenario, a decision, an opportunity. And you may have your process that you use. And most of the time that process is probably not really conscious. Like you don't think about, okay, so I have to make a decision and these are the steps I'm going to take. Some people do have that. They have a very clear process that they use to make decisions. A lot of times it can be very externally based. So doing like pros and cons lists or things like that. Other people are just follow their intuition and just take steps without thinking, right? So people have their ways. The thing is that if you're a person that just goes without thinking, then maybe it's time to reconsider, right? And maybe add different strategies to the way that you make decisions. But if you're a person that, on the other hand, focuses on the external, like making a pros and cons list, then tapping into your internal knowing and using intuitive guidance and feeling would be beneficial, right? So having a balance of both of those things can help you feel really clear about your decisions. Okay, so if you want to add to this process and to make some decisions that are in alignment with you and do things a little differently, then I'm going to give you some strategies today. So I'll tell you what my unconscious strategy is, and maybe that'll resonate with you, right? So my unconscious strategy is overthinking, right? So it's like overthinking, thinking of all the possibilities, doing research, trying to figure it out in my head. I am one of those people that, unconsciously, when I was not aware of this, would just write lists and then actually talk to people and be easily influenced by what others are telling me. Okay. And so that would leave me paralyzed and, in something that people call analysis paralysis, right? So I just stay stuck because I'd be there sitting there trying to make a decision and not knowing what the right choice was. Because the reality is, the more people I asked, the different opinions that I would get. And then the more research I would do, I would often come across conflicting information. Okay. And so I don't now allow myself to go too far into research, but I still am a person that needs to know the facts in order to make a decision. So I will do my research and talk to people, and then I have to stop myself and say, okay, now you have enough information. Let's go ahead and really sit with all of that, process all that information, and make that decision from your own inner knowing. And so that's a way that I've improved my decision-making process instead of staying in analysis paralysis. And so I often catch myself when I start to go into that over investigation, over research, talking to all people, a lot of people to get the opinions, right? And so I can catch myself, and I know that the bigger the decision is, the more that I will do that. And there's a more tendency to do that. So the first part of this is to understand what your process is. Are you following an unconscious process, right? I mean, what is it how do you make decisions? Look back on your life and pick a scenario where you made a decision. And how did you do that? And then if this is possible for you, look back and see when you made a decision that now you look back and say that was one of the best things that I could have done, right? And ask yourself how you made that decision. See if you can recall that. Most likely you used a balance. There was a part of you that of research and inner knowing. Most likely there was a part of you that knew that was the thing. But then there's always that other ego mind that wants to keep us safe, right? And so talk yourself out of it and think of all the reasons why you shouldn't do it. But you did it anyway, right? And so when I look back at my decisions in the past, when I have taken a step, I followed something internally that I really wanted to do. I was kind of really pulled in that direction. Then I would do some research on that to figure out how to do it, or is this really for me? And then even though at that point my fear gets kicked up, it's so strong, I can think of a million reasons why I don't need to do that. I went ahead and took the step. And having a friend that I trust, accountability partner, being able to have someone that really truly wants you to change, wants the best for you, to support you through that process. Sometimes it's been a coach that's helped me through that process. I speak to my sister regularly, and so we encourage each other. She has her own business as well. She's an artist, and so we encourage each other to go past our limitations, what our mind tells us we can or can't do, to take the steps despite the fear, despite all our brains being able to talk us out of it. Okay, so that's what I do. That's what I've noticed that has created success. Now, on the flip side, when I've made a decision or stuck in indecision based on just kind of like what felt like an inner knowing, but really it was coming from fear or wanting to get away from something, right? So sometimes we want something so badly in our lives that we take a step towards the thing without really asking ourselves, why do I want this? And if it's not coming right now, why is that happening? And how can I become the type of person that this happens for? Instead of trying to get it kind of in a faster way, and so I'm reminded by last year, there was a point where I went and I hired a coach, and that coach, like, there was a part of me that just knew, like, if I was honest with myself, I knew this was not the right person for me. But what she was offering was so much of what I wanted, right? I really wanted that. So I thought that if I invested to work with her, and I work with her, that I would be able to create what I wanted. Well, I should have followed my intuition, part of me says, because she was not a good fit. We are, that's not the type of coach I needed. And it, it almost feels like that I wasted that investment. But then I had to reframe and look at it and see what all the things that I benefited from that, right? All the things I learned. One of the main things that I learned was when something doesn't feel right, to check in to see, is it fear of things changing, or is this actually just not for me, right? And being able to discern those two things can be challenging, but it's really helpful to be able to do that. Okay. And so you need to be grounded when you're trying to figure that out. You can be stuck in your head. Maybe do some kind of breathing and visualization to calm your nervous system down. And then you think about taking the step and how it feels in your body. Okay. And there's a difference between excitement and the part of you that's like, this is not for you. So how can you tell the difference? Think about a time in the past that you took a step, even though knowing it wasn't for you, and how that felt. And you could even think about it now in this moment and see how that feels in your body. Your body is a way to make those decisions, right? Just to be able to feel like if this is for you. But really learning how to discern when it's just fear trying to stop you or it's actually not for you is so important when you're making decisions, right? So, doing the research that you need to do if you're that type of person, figuring out what the options are, and then taking steps. Now, in the scenario that I shared, when I make what I consider a mistake, right? And I say mistake with quotation marks because that actually taught me so much. I have a tendency to activate shame and to beat myself up. Okay. And this is based on conditioning, right? There was a conditioning that when I was younger, when I was in school, if I got straight A's, if I did everything perfectly, seemingly perfectly, then I received love and validation. So when I make something that's considered a mistake, then I feel like somehow I'm not good enough or lovable enough or all of that. And so I know that and I'm aware of it. So because I've done work on it, like, oh, there's that pattern and I know it's not true. So I work on my mindset, I work on the feeling, and I know how to do that because I've already worked through that part, right? And knowing your patterns are so helpful because you're like, oh, there's that pattern again. Right? There's my brain telling me something that's actually not true because we all make mistakes. We all take steps that feel like mistakes. And everything that we do is a learning process, allows us to grow and learn. So we can take that step and say, oh, I made such a huge mistake. Or we can take that step and say, okay, I should make this choice. What can I learn from this choice? It didn't turn out the way that I would have liked. And so spending that time to work through that so you don't repeat those things also is helpful. So if you're in a point of transition right now, I would first check in to see what your process is. Do you have a process? Number one. If you do, what is it? And if you is that working for you? If you don't have a process, look in the past of how you've made decisions, especially the decisions that seem to work well, right? And then see how you can improve your process so you're integrating external and your internal knowing. Okay, because the truth is that most of the time we know what we want, but we're afraid. We're afraid to go in that direction, right? And because of many things, because maybe people will judge us, or are we going to make a mistake? Or worse, are we going to fail, right? And are we making the wrong choice? Maybe there's a better choice, right? So those are the reasons that we often question when we are actually drawn to something. So the last part I'll say is asking yourself, if I didn't take this step, would I look back and always wonder what would have happened if I did it? And if that is true, I will tell you life is too short to not follow that, to not try it, to not give yourself the opportunity to live a life in a way that you are fully present. You do the things that you are excited and drawn to do. And yeah, sometimes we're going to fall. And sometimes it's not going to work out the way we want. But unless we keep going, unless we keep trying, you may have regrets at the end of your life and wonder, what if I did that? I wish I tried that. Most of the time, people do not regret the things that they've tried. They went after. They regret the things they didn't. I'm sure there are exceptions to that, and I'm sure your brain is like, well, what about this and what about that? That's not what we're talking about, right? You can use discernment to decide when that's the case or not. So if you're in a transition right now and you're making decisions, I would give yourself space and take these steps that I talked about today. And if you need support, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm really right now focusing a lot on purpose and life purpose coaching. I'm being really pulled for people to find the purpose in their work right now, or find more purpose in their life overall, or just, what is my purpose? This is what I've been seeing with all the entrepreneurs that I've been working with and people that are not entrepreneurs, is that a lot of the burnout, a lot of the stress, a lot of the things that we're experiencing, the things that we want to change externally, are tied to not having a purpose, not feeling purposeful in our lives, and feeling disconnected. So if that's something that you are feeling and you want support, I would love to help you. I've helped so many people and I'm feeling really inspired to continue to offer this. So I will have a link in the show notes for you to book a call and we can just talk. Let's connect. Until next week, take good care. Bye.